welcome to Agile Coffee Chat. It's not much of a coffee chat because it's stifling here in the UK, and for me is an orange juice chat. Today we're going to be talking about what are Agile coaches, when to hire an Agile coach, and what is an Agile coach not. I'm Sabrina Bruce.
Melinda Price.
Cynthia Khan.
All right, ladies, let's kick it off. Right, first question, which we've all experienced this, okay? Let's kick things off of definitely what we're not, because this is a common factor we regularly get. I don't want to use the word accused, but we regularly get thought that we are. Go for it, Bel.
Your mother.
No.
I'm not her.
We're not.
Your mama.
We're not psychiatrists.
We're not project managers.
I'm not interested in your sob story about why you're special. Just
We do have empathy. Well, most of us have empathy on that. We're not project managers. We're not delivery managers. What else are we not?
Miracle workers. We're not Mary Poppins. We're not flying in on an umbrella.
I don't know, actually,
and giving you something to drink and solving all your problems.
My nickname is actually Sabrina Poppins in some places. So I mean, I quite like that nickname. Sabrina comes and flies in and helps everybody out. So I'm taking the Mary Poppins ones for myself.
Okay, only Sabrina.
Go, Bel. I can see the gin going.
I'm not here to tell you how to make it better.
We're not.
That's why I hired you, baby. Of course, you're going to tell me how to make it better. I will disagree with that, because I think people, they know what's wrong, but it's nice to have somebody to come in from the outside.
They don't know what's wrong. Mostly they don't know what's wrong.
They know the symptoms, and they want to be, oh, we're not doctors, so we can't cure you, but we can help you figure out ways to behave differently so that you can get the results that you want. How's that? So I don't know. I don't want to get down into a rat hole, but
my inner coach wants to lure the answer out of you, not tell you what to do.
Oh, I don't know about that. It shouldn't be hard. Nothing should be hard. It should be fun and meaningful, and it should feel like a natural progression, even though most of the time it doesn't feel that way. But that
is one thing we do. So if we give a description of a background in Agile coach, there is no one-way street from my point of view to be an Agile coach. If we compare, say, the three of us, we've all got very different backgrounds. We've all had multiple different jobs that has led us here, but none of us are the same.
So that means that a coach is somebody who helps you. Let's get back to like the normal stuff. Like we say, from where you are, somebody who helps you to get to where you want to be. And we all are different and have different backgrounds. So it is important to hire, and we want it to be a meaningful two-way experience. So that means if you're hiring an Agile coach, or you think you want to hire an Agile coach, interview more than one so that you can find someone that you meld with or gel with, or can get along, feel like you can get along with, and actually be honest with. Because if you're not honest with yourself, with your coach, with your teams, then you're not really going to get the results that you want, because you have to really be forthright. So find somebody you feel comfortable with. I guess that's.
And check their background. Say, for example, both.
Well,
no, like me and Bel, we're both technical. We've been part of engineering. You see, we're ex-techies, so we can relate to engineering as an example.
And also, I started off in a software house, so I understand the development cycle.
Yeah. Thus meaning that we can best support in that area because we understand the roles, but actually physically be in the role. And I had somebody ask me, I get this asked a lot, we probably all do, like, how did you become an Agile coach? And when I actually go through my background, nothing exactly links to it. You know, I was a networks engineer at one point, and they think, how did you go from a networks engineer to a coach? But that has actually benefited me on my journey for becoming a coach, but it also has benefited people that I've worked with understanding how it works and how they work, and what are the best improvements that can be possibly made. Go for it, Bel.
I joined the wrong queue. I wanted to be an astronaut.
So NASA, if you happen to be amazingly watching, if you are, please contact us. Not because Bel wants to go down that career route, but that would make our days if somebody from NASA was actually watching this. So we've given a bit of detail of we've given some detail of what not an Agile coach is. We've given
I don't think anybody listening so far knows what an Agile coach is, Sabrina.
So no, this is next stage. What is an Agile coach? What are we? We're not unicorns, as much as I wish we were unicorns. So what are we? How would we describe us as beings? It's a difficult one, I know. Who wants to go first? We can't do it.
I'll go. I'm never afraid to go. To me, an Agile coach is someone, because I write this down a lot, who teaches people. They don't necessarily have to be from any type of business, but teaches people how to apply what I just generalized as Agile principles, which not everybody even knows what that means, but there's some things that we understand, and we teach people how to apply those principles so they can focus on the right things, get done what they need to get done at the right time, and reduce overwhelm, which seems pretty general, but most people have a really hard time doing that.
Yeah.
So if you are in a business, no matter what kind of business, not just software, but if you're in a business and you have the feeling that you're not focusing on the right things, including the customer, which is another episode that you should go out and listen to, including the customer, focus on the right things and time box and accomplish something now so that you can figure out if you're going in the right direction. That is what an Agile coach does. And you want to find somebody who's done it with a lot of different types of organizations, not just one or two, because you need a breadth of experience, because no two customers are alike. So if you need some help with just even focus or overwhelm, or you have symptoms in your organization that things aren't going well and you're not accomplishing what you want to accomplish, then that's a key and you're interested in agility, that you have to understand that you need to be interested in that.
And Agile
Talk
coaches,
to somebody.
They will work with multiple different levels. So what they would normally do is they come in, introduce themselves and get to know people, but also they're getting to know leadership level, management level, team levels, and they're getting to understand how the business works, who their customers are, whether it's internal or external, what products do they have, what product development do they have, how the current business is flowing at the moment, and also get an understanding of, what are the improvements that they want as a business made, what are the pitfalls, what are the problems. And that's where they will kind of define, from gathering all that information at multiple levels, how to make improvement, whether it's faster delivery to their customers or improvement to just ways of working to build more happiness within the teams, or whether it's actually being able to define and break the work into smaller chunks so you can see the value, being able to maybe plan better when it comes to product or project delivery. There's still the two, and they will come in and look at all that, and with their knowledge and experience from working in multiple different levels and working with multiple different businesses, they can come and define what the best solution or ways of working is for the business. That's another example. Bel, have you got one?
I think for me, it's somebody who is inherently nosy and who likes to poke around in the dusty corners that people like to hide their dark secrets in. So a lot of what I do is poking around the dusty corners, being nosy and saying, why is that like that? What are you doing this for? What's that all about? And by asking these sometimes very awkward questions and challenging questions to expose why things aren't working, despite the fact that everybody tells you we're terribly agile and everything should be fabulous, but it's not for some reason.
Let me ask a clarifying question. So I'm somebody who wants to hire a coach, but why an agile coach? Because you're talking general business terms. So what's the difference to you between an agile coach and a business coach, or maybe an operations coach who comes in and looks at and tries to streamline your operations? Because I think that people don't understand what agility is and how it's different from just either a general coach or a process coach or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I feel like we haven't answered that question yet.
I think for me, it's about the size of change. Sometimes the large consultancies will come in and say, reorganize everything, change everything, do it all at once in a giant big bang of terror. For me, agility is about making tiny, incremental, non-threatening changes over and over again to improve things. And in that way, once you've poked around the dusty corners and found where the problems are, you can start to make these tiny little tweaks and try it differently and see if it works. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, well, we'll try something different. Like you said, try thing A. And if that works, try thing B or C. Whereas with some of the sort of more business or operational or management focused change, it tends to be kablooey. We're blowing this place wide open and everything's going to change tomorrow. And it's just like, I think it's a bit less terrifying when you start to make these tiny, small incremental changes. And for me, it's about the tiny, small incremental changes rather than the big blam.
It's a little bit more personal as well. You'll find an agile coach will get to know people where they will actually be able to get people to kind of open up a bit more, because it will take that time to get to know people, and they will make the effort. They will show that they've got an understanding. They will make an effort to get to know each individual team and each individual person.
Kind of done with you than done to you.
Yeah, so it's part of an actual journey. It's not us dictating, saying, we've been told by the business that you are going to do Scrum, so we are making you all do Scrum. No, we actually will fight back against the business and explain to them, actually understanding how their products work or their current ways of working is working and how they have to deliver to their customer. This type of framework is the best framework for them to use. And we will agree that with who our customers, which are the teams, and then trial it out. So that's when I say we work on multiple different levels, but we're also there to fight with the business and show them this is why, this is an improved way of working. But we're also here to test. And if things do go wrong, I like to call it the ripple effect.
Or the Ripley effect.
The Ripley effect as well, where you make a small change here, you've got to catch it. Because sometimes you're making a small change here, something catastrophic can actually happen over there. So it's keeping that personal eye. And when you've got like a batch of agile coaches that are working very similarly, that's even better, because they're collaborating together, keeping each other up to date on what's going across the business and catching those ripple effects as well. So
for those of you who can't see,
famous and
we have a cat bum in our and a loving cat.
She needs a cap.
So Sabrina, are you saying that agile coaches don't necessarily teach agile frameworks, or do you think you need to pick one? Because most of the time I get called in because somebody wants to apply some kind of a framework and they don't know how. They've either tried it and failed in some way, or they have symptoms, or they want to try to do it right the first time because they've heard so many horror stories. So for me, I would think that if your company is either practicing some kind of agile framework like Scrum or Kanban or Scrumban or whatever, some kind of lean, that and you want to practice that better, that you should find a coach who specializes in that, who has been through those situations before, things like that, because it's really important to find someone who actually has helped somebody out of in a similar situation so that they can help you, maybe not in exactly the same way. But I do think that if you're going to call yourself an agile coach and you're going into a business and you are applying agile principles, that you are sort of applying a framework, which is not a process. So we need to separate out the fact that if you want to apply a framework, which means like if you want to apply Scrum, that doesn't mean that it's Scrum as a process by the book. It means that you're going to start working in 2-week time boxes or 1-week time boxes. You're going to use some kind of a board. You're going to have a product owner. You're going to have somebody, who's going to have a Scrum master, but we are working within a framework. It's not just loosey-goosey because we are not psychologists. We are not just high-level process analysts. We're agile, which means something to me.
This is why a lot of businesses sometimes don't understand what the benefit of an agile coach is. I've had some businesses that have gone, we want to bring you in just to train everybody on Scrum. Yes, agile coaches do train, they do implement, they do improve, they're multi-skilled in multiple different areas, but they sometimes don't understand actually we can do a lot more with our background and experience. And you're right, if Scrum is a framework that is best fit, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be from the book. And most coaches, I'm sure you can all agree with me, sometimes we've gone in where they've tried to implement Scrum from the book, but actually it's not working for them. So with our knowledge and experience from implementing it and working with multiple different businesses, we can make those tweaks that are possibly making Scrum, as an example, not work or be painful. I think the common thing I always say is, you don't need to work for Scrum. Scrum should work for you. And we will know where the tweaks need to be made to make it actually a way of working that does work for them. And that's a glorious thing about an agile coach. And they're constantly learning, constantly. There's no expertise in the coaching. And I'm going to get shot by probably multiple agile coaches out there now for saying it. But as far as I'm concerned, we are lifelong learners. Every business, every person we meet, every group of people, every team, every leadership, we will learn something new and we will take that on board. Wait for me to get shot now in the comments.
I don't know. Well, you shouldn't be saying something that you're worried. If you're worried about that, don't be worried about that.
Because that's my belief, and that's my own personal.
Well, that's why you're saying it. So, to summarize, then, the first thing is, what is an agile coach? Why would you hire one? And then how would you find? We keep saying, oh, you need to find somebody who's done what you need, and And well, how do you find that person? Right. So those are the three things that I want to kind of end with, because I think we talked around some of the real topics. Because if somebody's thinking about hiring a coach, and we sort of talked about the differences, but so in a summary, Sabrina or Bel, what is a coach? An agile coach. And let's start with that.
Finding one, just to that quickly, I think it's slightly different.
In
We are going to go in order. Now I'm going to just add, because I know from conversations from you, I think it's a slightly different process than it is possibly in the UK. So it'll be interested to find it mention it on both sides. So sorry, Bel, go on and define what an agile coach is.
So now you're going to give it to Bel after you took the
Yeah, because I'm not going to go in the right thing.
Bel under the bus, yeah. An agile coach is somebody who has a wealth of experience in helping teams to identify ways of working that they want to tweak and help them to tweak them.
Do you think they need to specialize in a framework? Do you think they need to be certified in anything?
Well, you don't want to do certification, and if you don't, there's another episode about that.
I know we have that, but I'm just saying that. I mean, we're talking about finding someone, right? So do
you need to be certified? No, not necessarily. Do you have to have a track record in lots of different industries? Yes, probably. Do you need to, is it a requirement to be a purist? No, I think you have to be flexible. And if you're looking for somebody, pick names out of a hat and talk to people. And if you like what they're telling you, then go with that person. Go with your gut. Just because I've got qualifications the length of my arm, which I don't, because I'm not a fan of certification. But that's not the point. If you do, it doesn't mean anything other than you're good at passing exams that you can probably get online. Does it mean you've got experience? Not necessarily. Does it mean that you're good at what you do? Again, not necessarily. So
talk to people. You just don't hire people based on
them, yeah. Have a conversation, engage with them. If you find you like what they're saying and you're interested to hear more, that's probably a good jumping off point.
Try and look at some of the backgrounds or maybe some of the companies that they previously worked for that have similarities.
You know,
but
if you're a financial services company and you want somebody with, to come and help you, look for somebody that's got financial services experience, because they've probably seen all of the problems that you're facing over and over again. If you're a pharmaceutical company and you've got problems, look for somebody that's got pharmaceutical services experience, because they've probably seen your problems. If you're a software development house, look for somebody that's worked with other software development houses, because they've probably got similar experiences. If you are infrastructure, if you do infrastructure all day, look for somebody that comes from an infrastructure background, because they'll know what your problems are. The number of times I've heard teams tell me, oh, we can't be agile, we're infrastructure, or we can't be agile, we're network. You can, you just don't want to, is usually my answer. Yeah. So talk to the people, look at their background, look at their experience, and if they fit, if you're talking like we're talking here and you can have a good exchange, then they're probably maybe the right fit for you. And if it's just an awkward, stilted conversation, that's not going to get better with time.
They've got meaningful answers to your questions for your problems. And that's the other thing. When you're interviewing an agile coach, you need to be open. You need to almost explain what are the problems you think need to be solved. Because if that agile coach is giving you the right answers, and you know with their personality, because that's a big thing. People are actually scared of agile coaches. They think reorgs, which we're not here to make reorgs, but that's the first thing. Reorganization changes. That's the first thing people seem to hear when they see agile coaches. But be open with them on the call, on the interview, say, look, these are some of the things. And if the responses you're getting back is the responses that you're looking for, and you've got a gut feeling that actually, I can trust this person's going to mold with the culture of the business and their ways of working. My employees are going to be able to mold with that person, because I've not got jobs before because they've actually said, do you know what, love your background and everything, but actually you might be a bit too much and scare our people. And do you know what? I get it. I can be a bit too much. But that's the other thing you've got to look at, because remember, they've got to build a big trust with your employees. And how to find them in the UK, LinkedIn is amazing. Recruitment companies will normally scope people like myself and Bel, and probably see yourself, Cynthia, through LinkedIn. And that's basically our on-held CV. And unfortunately, for those that are watching the video, you probably already know a lot more about us. Most people do, because you see it on camera.
And also, when you're interviewing with a potential coach, ask them what their approach is. So make sure that they talk to you first to see because the first thing they need to assess is where you are. So if they don't mention something, and I'm not talking about this take 6 months, like, oh, we spend the first week like attending your daily stand-ups or your how do you plan? We'll look at your backlog. We'll do these things because we want to see where we assume, if you're already practicing, that is right, that you're not doing everything wrong. So let's figure out what your symptoms are, and you tell me what your symptoms are, and then what is it that you're actually doing, so that we can make some suggestions. Because remember, Agile has the whole reflection and retrospective, so you can try a couple of things, as Bel has mentioned. So the key is somebody hopefully who understands you and your business, somebody who actually shows an understanding of Agile principles, whatever they are, Agile frameworks, if you're interested in that, whatever they are, somebody who can explain to you what they're going to do. What is their approach? Does it make sense to you? Or is the first thing they're going to do get to know you in some way and how you run your business and listen to you talk about your symptoms? And then how do you go about implementation? Because you're right, Sabrina mentioned in our last episode about transformation. We're not talking about transformation. We're talking about better practice and getting what you really, really want. And I'm not saying that we never say, oh, you need to reorg, because I have some clients that definitely need to change how they're organized because that's actually their number one impediment. So it's never any one thing. I guess I wanted to get that out there, because we are a little bit of everything. as part, I mean, because like when we talk, we sound like business management coaches or project managers. We sound like process coaches. That's because applying Agile principles can take a lot of different approaches, right? And so that's what we want people to understand. And the other thing is make sure that those people, the people that you interview, are excited about Agile and can talk in some way about how Agile has actually changed their lives, improved their careers, because nobody went to college or he didn't go to college or got their first job and said, I'm going to grow up and be an Agile coach. That's not how it happens. It's we all fell in love with Agile or a business agility. And that's why we are Agile coaches. And you need to feel that excitement or sense that excitement when you're interviewing or talking to somebody. So I just want to put it out there because I'm hoping that at this moment, you're a little bit more clear, maybe.
Well, we did promise on Agile Coffee Chat we would do it in our own sassy way. But one thing that we can confirm as coaches, as ourselves, we are all very passionate about our jobs. We love our jobs. We have got the best jobs in the world. And honestly, if anybody ever wants to contact us, not for work, well, if you do, hey, but no, me and Bel are quite happy where we are. But you know, if you ever got any questions or anything you want to ask, you've got 3 coaches here that are very open to always ask questions. But this is Agile World Coffee Chat. We spoke about coaches in our sassy way.
Cheers.
Cheers, ladies.